Hello, it's Alicia here for your chair yoga class today. You will need a sturdy chair. A yoga mat is very helpful to make sure that the chair doesn't slide and that your feet don't slide. And a reminder to make sure that you're taking care of your body, so if anything that I suggest doesn't work for you, you might be able to figure out a different way to do something, or you could wait until something comes around that does feel a little safer for your body. So please feel free to modify and change what we do together. We're going to work on getting some movement in the joints, and we're going to work on some movement in the spine. But for now, you can sit back in your chair, lean back on the back, and we'll take a few moments to center and bring ourselves to our yoga practice. So you could close your eyes or keep your eyes open. You might blink a few times if you're going to keep your eyes open, and then let them softly find a place on the floor to focus. I'm going to be reading to you today from a book by Pema Chodron called Comfortable with Uncertainty. And the title alone seems to be an appropriate choice for these times right now. So you can sit back in your chair, relax, make yourself comfortable, and take some deep breaths. Then the name of this passage is The Wisdom of No Escape. The central question of a warrior's training is not how we avoid uncertainty and fear, but how we relate to discomfort. How do we practice with difficulty, with our emotions, with the unpredictable encounters of an ordinary day? For those of us with a hunger to know the truth, painful emotions are like flags going up to say, "You're stuck." We regard disappointment, embarrassment, irritation, jealousy, and fear as moments that show us where we're holding back, how we're shutting down. Such uncomfortable feelings are messages that tell us to perk up and lean into a situation when we'd rather cave in and back away. When the flag goes up, we have an opportunity. We can stay with our painful emotion instead of spinning out. Staying is how we get the hang of gently catching ourselves when we're about to let resentment harden into blame, righteousness, or alienation. It's also how we keep from smoothing things over by talking ourselves into a sense of relief or inspiration. That is easier said than done. Ordinarily, we are swept away by habitual momentum. We don't interrupt our patterns even slightly. With practice, however, we learn to stay with a broken heart, with a nameless fear, with a desire for revenge. Sticking with uncertainty is how we learn to relax in the midst of chaos, how we learn to be cool when the ground beneath us suddenly disappears. We can bring ourselves back to the spiritual path countless times every day, simply by exercising our willingness to rest in the uncertainty of the present moment, over and over again. And so I invite you to rest in any uncertain feelings that you might be feeling right now. Taking a couple of deep breaths, relax any tension in your body, especially in your belly. We'll take a few moments here of quiet. So if anything needs to be adjusted in your body, let it adjust. And then see if you can come to a sense of stillness and quiet. We don't have to force ourselves to be still and quiet, but we can keep coming back after any interruptions. And then you can open your eyes if they're closed, and we'll come to sit towards the front of the chair so that we're holding ourselves up by our own power, feet about underneath the knees. And if your knees are higher than your hips, you'll want to sit on something so that the chair seat gets a little higher. And if your knees are lower than your hips, then you can place something underneath your feet just to raise the legs up a little bit. Getting comfortable in this seat, you can move around a few times. And let's take a long stretch, like we're just waking up. You could yawn or sigh and wiggle the fingers. And then coming back to this center place. We're going to look down at the toes, and you may or may not be able to see my toes on the video, but that's okay. But we're picking up your toes, spreading them apart or trying to spread them apart, and then curling your toes up like you're making a toe fist. And then we'll pick up the toes and try to spread them apart and then curl them again into each other. And we'll do like that a few times. And you can notice any of the errant toes, the ones that don't really want to participate. And as we go along, perhaps they'll join in, perhaps they won't. One more time, curl up the toes. And then release them, give them a good wiggle. They come back down to the floor. And then we're going to see, could we lift just the big toe? Right? So it might take a lot of mind, right? A lot of mind work to just lift the big toe. It might be that you have to lean over and hold down the littler toes so that the big toe could lift up. And then we'll switch. Big toe goes down, little toes go up. And then we'll go back and forth with that a few times. So letting the little toes come down, picking the big toe up. Try to spread it away from the second toe if you can. And then big toes go down and little toes pick up, and we'll see if we can spread them as well. Another time or two back and forth, and you might notice if you're making any funny faces to try to help. And then last time, big toe down, little toes up. Very good. We're going to extend the right leg and rotate the right foot a few times. So starting to get some movement in the joint of the ankle. Round in a few circles. And then other direction, round in a few circles. And then we're going to take that foot alongside of the chair and lift the heel high. So I've got the pads of my toes pressing down. I'm trying to lift my heel up over my toes as best I can. And my toes are getting a pretty good stretch. And so you can temper this by pressing more or pressing less into the toes. And then we'll give that foot a shake. And move to the left side, circling the foot a few times. Going round and round. You can watch. Notice where the process gets gummed up. And then go in the other direction. And then we'll take that foot, left foot alongside of the chair. Nothing too fancy here. Lifting the heel up over the toes. So in a relaxed position, the heel goes back towards the floor. But we're going to pick the heel up so that it's over the toes. And then the toes get a pretty good stretch. You could temper it, again, by not pressing so much or by letting the heel go back a little bit more. And we'll take one more breath. And then we're going to give that foot a shake as well. And coming back to sit tall into the chair. For a moment, we'll think about the spine. We're going to keep going with the joints, but for the moment, thinking about the spine, elongating, sitting in a tall chair. Couple of breaths. We're going to come back to the right leg now and work a little with the knee joint. So you can hold on to the underneath of the right thigh. And the leg doesn't have to lift very high, but we're going to open and close the leg a few times, open and close the knee joint. And you can see if there are any sounds coming out. Take a couple of breaths here, and this could be slow or a little bit quick. And then we're going to take the right lower leg around in a few circles. So they might not be exactly circles, but the knee joint doesn't move exactly in a circle. And then we'll go in the other direction. We can still think about sitting up tall and taking a few slow, deep breaths. And then we're going to put that leg down and give it a couple of bounces. And we'll go over to the left leg. Picking up the left leg, and opening and closing the knee joint a few times. And you'll forgive me if I get my lefts and rights mixed up. And if you've taken my class in person, you know that that's a very normal thing. So extending the leg a few times and bending it. And again, you might think of this more as a swinging motion with a little quickness, or you could think of it as a strengthening motion, like you're pressing something really heavy out of the way. And then we'll make those circular motions with the lower part of the leg. And going in the other direction. And then setting that leg down and giving it a few bounces. And coming back to the tall seat again. Eyes could close for a moment and can move around until it feels like you're back in your stable seat. A couple of deep breaths. We're going to open the knees now. Roll onto the outer edges of the feet. The knees go open. And then the knees close, rolling maybe a little to the inner edges of the feet. And then we're going to do that a few times. And maybe it's not so much for the legs and the hips as it is for the ankles and the feet. But you might be feeling it in a couple of different places. Nice deep breath as we go. A few more times, opening and closing. And coming back to center. And then we're going to step the feet a little wider apart, turning the toes out, and you might scoot a little more towards the front edge of the chair if that still feels stable. And from here we're going to press hands down into the thighs to help lift the torso a little up and out of the hips, and taking a few breaths here. Press down into your legs, and you can press right near where the legs and the hips meet. Give a little press there and roll your shoulders back and down. Take another breath or two. And from here, you can keep that press into the tops of the thighs and lean your torso a little forward. Bring yourself back to center, leaning a little back. Coming it back to center. We'll lean a little forward. And coming back to center. And leaning a little back. And coming back to center. We're going to keep the legs wide and lean over to the left. Rotate yourself forward. Go over to the right. A little bit back. And then we're going to make these circles with the torso. And you might notice as you go a little hitch in the giddy up there. A little crick crack. Maybe a little sticky bit. And you're welcome to take an extra breath at any of those sticky bits. And this could be a faster motion or a slower motion. And we'll go in the other direction. And coming back to center. Bringing the legs back to center, reset the seat if needed. And pausing for a moment, hands can be on the thighs, lengthen your spine, you can close your eyes. You can keep wiggling and fidgeting until it feels like you're in the right spot. Pausing a moment here. We're going to move to the hands now. So we'll squeeze the hands tightly shut, thumb outside of the fingers, and then open the fingers wide and give them a wiggle. And then squeezing the hands shut with the thumb inside the fingers, and then opening and giving a wiggle. And then squeezing hands, thumb outside, open and move. Squeeze one more time, thumbs inside, and then open and move. We'll bring the hands together, interlacing the fingers, and the palms are close to each other. And now the hands roll around, again, not exactly a circle, but circular-like, round and round with the hands. A little work for the wrists here. And then other direction with those circles. We'll release the hands and give them a shake. And then bringing your hands out in front of you, arms out in front, palms face each other. We're going to cross the right wrist over the left. We're going to roll the thumbs down towards the floor and see if the hands will meet to interlace fingers again. We're sitting up nice and tall as we do this. And maybe this is enough. This might be plenty stretch in the arms, in the wrists, in the hands. Or you might see if the hands would come toward the chest and up, and then go back out, reaching the arms forward. And we can do that a few times. And again, if this doesn't work for you, you might stay in that extended position or even rest the arms down a bit. But if it works for you to roll the hands under, we'll do that one more time. And then we're going to release the arms, give the hands a shake. We have to do it the other way as well. So arms come out in front, palms face each other. Taking your left wrist over your right. Roll the thumbs down, interlace the fingers. Maybe it feels a little different. I'm not convinced that this is the other side. So if you are convinced that it's the same side, feel free to switch so we can see which feels the same, which feels different. And then we'll bring the arms toward us, hands come up near the chest, and a few times like that. And again, if you feel like you don't want to take this rolling action, the arms could stay extended, elbows could bend a little bit. That's an alternate for you there. Another couple of rolls of the arms and hands. And then we'll release the hands, give them a shake. Taking your right hand face up, palm up, use the fingers of your left hand to help take all four fingers a little down towards the floor. So it's a bit of a wrist stretch, a bit of a finger stretch, and we'll take a few breaths here. We can still be sitting tall into the spine. And then we're going to come from underneath. We'll release that. Come from underneath to take the thumb and gently stretch the thumb down towards the floor. And we'll release that. Take a soft fist with the left hand and give a little patting into the palm of the right hand. Waking up that hand, getting some circulation moving. Both hands get a shake. Left palm turns up. Fingers of the right hand help those fingers to come down, to stretch down towards the floor. And you can experiment maybe just at the fingertips. What does that feel like? Mid finger closer to the palm. And then from underneath we take hold of the thumb and we give the thumb a little bit of stretch. And it might be a pulsing. We might stretch it and release, stretch it and release. Soft fist with the right hand and giving some pats into the left. Very good. Both hands get a shake. Arms out in front, palms up. We're going to bend the elbows, touch the fingertips to the shoulders and sit up nice and tall, and then straighten the elbows, bending and straightening. And you can lift the gaze slightly and look up to a focal point across the room, bending and straightening elbows. Very good. We're going to take the arms out to the sides, bend at the elbows, and give a few circles to the forearms and hands, and then other direction. Give the arms a shake and come back to center. Eyes can close for a moment. Taking a slow deep breath in and a long breath out. We're We're going to keep the legs where they are this time. And we're going to lean just a little forward. We're not going to come to the forward bend yet. We're going to come back up to center, lean a little back, come forward, lean a little forward, back to center, lean a little back. A couple more times. Slight fold forward, slight lean back. Only to the extent that feels okay for you. And then we're going to come back up to center. We're going to lean to the right. We'll expand these motions in a few moments. Come back to center, lean to the left, back to center, and going back and forth a few times, leaning to the side, just as far as is comfortable. And coming back to center. Hands onto the hips. We're going to turn the torso to the right, back to center, turn the torso to the left, back to center, and a few times side to side. Head and neck can go as far as you like. Head and neck could also stay more neutral. And again, these will be some motions that we'll expand upon in a few moments. Coming back to center, hands onto the thighs, moving the spine now in the cat-cow shape, seated cat-cow. So we'll start by rolling the pelvis forward, lifting the heart, lifting the chin, and then rolling the pelvis under, rounding the back and letting the head come down. We'll start from the pelvis, roll forward, then lifting chest and lifting chin. Pelvis rolls back, we round and come into the cat back. A few more times. You could inhale as you roll forward and lift the chest, and exhale as you roll back and round the spine. Coming back to neutral and pausing for a moment. You could close your eyes if you like, noticing any sensations in the upper body now, any movement of energy down the spine, up the spine. Maybe the arms are feeling more alive. And then we're going to come up to stand. So take your time coming up to stand, moving the chair in front of you with the seat facing away. And I'm going to stay facing the camera for this part. So standing just a little behind the chair so that the chair is within reach. Fingertips can rest on the back of the chair. We're moving towards our mountain pose. You can look down at your feet, line the feet up. They could be a few inches apart. They could be closer together so that you feel stable. And then from there, we're going to give a little bend, a couple of bends and straightens to the knees. And then finding a soft knee. So we're not locking the knee joints. We're finding a soft knee. Starting to lengthen up through the legs, lengthen up through the torso. And if you like, your arms could come to your sides, palms face in towards the legs, or hands could stay on the back of the chair. We'll take a few slow breaths here, mountain pose. A steady, strong, but also soft pose. You could close your eyes if you like and challenge the balance. A couple of breaths. And so you have a couple of choices here. One choice is that one hand stays on the back of the chair to help with the steadying. The other choice is that hand comes to the hip. So we'll be working with moving the right arm. So the left hand could stay on the chair to steady you, or the left hand could come to the left hip, whichever you prefer. We're going to inhale, take the right arm up. We're going to exhale, lean to the left. We're going to inhale and come back to center. Exhale, release the arm back to the chair. Inhale, left arm comes up, or hand could be on hip. We lean to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, release the arm. And if the breath doesn't cooperate, please feel free to breathe easefully. Arm goes up, that could be an inhale. We side bend, that could be an exhale. Inhale could be back to center. Exhale is the release of the arm. And then we'll take the other side one more time. Left arm comes up. Exhale to lean to the side. Inhale to come back to center. And exhale to release the arm. Hands back to the chair or arms at your sides, back to mountain pose. Couple of breaths. Very good. And so, again, one hand could stay on the chair or hand could be on the hip. We're going to keep the left hand either chair or hip. We're going to take the right arm out to the side. Palm faces down, and we're going to look at the fingertips. We're going to keep watching the fingertips as the arm comes forward and crosses across to the left, and we're going to keep watching the fingertips going as to a comfortable place. And then we're going to watch the fingertips as they come back about shoulder height or maybe a little lower than shoulder height. Arm returns to where it began, and it can also go back behind us. Continue watching the fingertips. And then arm comes back to the start position and releases. Hand on chair or hand on hip. Left arm comes up about shoulder height out to the left, looking at the fingertips. We're going to bring the arm forward, let the body turn with it, over to the right as far as you might like to go. Come back to center, go back out and past the start position, again to a point that feels comfortable to you behind you, and then come back to the start point and release the arm. We'll take the right arm again out to the side, watching the fingertips as the arm comes forward, and we cross across to the left. We come back to center. Just let the rest of the body kind of go along for the ride. Back to start and slightly behind, or maybe more than slightly behind, and then back to the start position, and then left arm again out to the side. Arm comes forward and across to the right, back through center, watching the fingertips as we go, and then back behind us, and then forward again to the start position, and then releasing the arms. We'll stand again in mountain pose. In fact, let's pick up the feet a couple of times, take a few steps in place, and then settling back down into your feet. Little lift of the gaze, mountain pose. Hands could be on the back of the chair if you like. Another breath or two here. Depending on where your chair is, you might need to turn it. I'm going to turn it so that you have the side view. Putting the chair, seat still facing away from you near the front of your mat, whatever side you decide is the front of your mat. And then we'll stand pretty close to the chair. With the hands on the back of the chair, we'll lengthen up through the spine. And then we'll take a pretty big step back with the right foot. And the right heel plants down and slightly in towards center line, pressing hands down into the chair, lifting the gaze, lifting the heart. And then we're going to bend the left knee. And maybe the left toes want to scoot a little more forward, or maybe they don't. You can bend the left knee to a comfortable position, either behind the ankle or heel, over the ankle or heel, but probably not in front of the ankle or the heel for today. Lifting again through the sternum, lifting through the spine, taking a couple of deep breaths. We're going to take the left hand to the left hip, and we're going to walk the right hand over to the left side of the chair. Right, so we're just going to reach the right hand over to the left side of the chair. We're going to see about turning the torso a little to the left. And if you like, you can take the left arm and reach it back behind you. And if that's too much twist, left hand stays on the left hip. Keep lengthening your spine, keep pressing down into your back foot, and maybe you turn the head to look over the left shoulder. Maybe head stays in neutral. One more breath. Slowly unwind. Hands come back to the chair. We're going to straighten the left leg. We're going to lift up long through the spine. We're going to bend the elbows and start to lean forward towards the chair. And maybe that's all that happens. We just bend the elbows and we keep hold of the back of the chair. You could also see about bringing hands down to the seat of the chair. We're still lengthening forward out over the front of the chair, rolling your right hip a little forward and your left hip a little back. Both legs are straight or almost straight, but again, no locking of the knee joints. One more breath. Slowly bring hands back to chair back if they're not. Lift the torso. Little bend to the front knee as we bring the back leg forward to meet. Pause a moment here, tall spine. And then we'll step back with the left foot. Pretty big step back, but we can always adjust as we go. Right foot might move a little to the right so that we can turn our hips a little more in the direction of the chair. We're going to press down into the back of the chair to help lengthen and elongate the spine. Press down into your left heel. And then bend your right knee. You can watch the right knee as it bends and reposition it as needed. We'll have it either slightly behind the heel, over the heel, or over the ankle. We're going to take the right hand to the right hip, and then we're going to slide the left hand over to the right side of the chair. We're going to see if the torso will turn a little to the right. Take a deep breath. As long as we're still able to breathe deeply and easily, we're still in a good position for the pose. If we lose that, we need to come a little out. Option to release the right arm behind you. And if that's too much, right hand comes back to the right hip, and you might also turn your head to look a little over your right shoulder. One more breath. Slowly unwind back to center, hands back to the back of the chair. We're going to straighten the front leg. We're going to lengthen the spine. The right hip comes back a little bit. The left hip comes forward. Bending your elbows and leaning forward towards the chair. Maybe you don't go very far, or maybe you reach the hands down to the seat of the chair. It's up to you. Looking a little bit forward this time to help keep that elongation in the spine. And if it feels like you're very rounded, then the chair back might be a better place to stay, to be more upright and lengthened. Another breath here. We're going to bend the front knee. This time we're going to step the front leg back. It might take a couple of steps until we can line up the feet and take our downward facing dog. So the hands could be on the chair back, the hips stretch back, the spine stretches forward. Hands could also come down to the chair seat. Same thing, we stretch the hips back, stretch the spine forward. And if you want to take the hands to any other part of the chair, or if you practice downward facing dog on the floor, you're welcome to do that. We're going to stay for another 2 or 3 breaths. You can bend your knees a little bit to help lengthen the spine. And then hands come back up if they're not on the back of the chair. We'll bend the knees and step forward. Back to our mountain pose. Hands could be on the back of the chair. Arms could be at the sides. We'll lengthen up through the spine. Maybe close the eyes. And we'll come back to sit down in the chair. So you can adjust the chair if it needs to be adjusted, and we'll sit back down in the chair, perching again at the front of the seat, pausing for a moment, hands rest on the thighs, eyes go closed. Taking notice of any sensations that we may have created in the body, noticing those sensations and taking an extra deep breath in honor of those sensations. From here, sliding forward, forearms to the thighs. This is our half forward bend, maybe we'll call it today. Forearms press pretty strongly into the thighs to help lift the torso a little bit and get us up out of the shoulders. You can stay here, or you might let the arms come down to the space between the legs. Arms could also hang to the outsides of the legs. You can decide what feels best today. A few breaths here, and a little side to side motion with the torso, working out any leftover tension in the spine. And then we'll bring forearms back up to the thighs if they're not there. Pause a moment, take a long, slow, deep breath in. And a long, slow breath out. Press your hands into your thighs and come back up. And so now we have the opportunity to have some guided relaxation together. If you're close to a couch or a bed, you might lie down on the couch or the bed. If you can easily get up and down off the floor, you could always lie on the floor. Maybe a folded blanket or a pillow underneath your head, or a folded blanket or pillow underneath the backs of your knees. You can also stay in the chair and slide yourself back to lean back on the back of the chair, and legs could extend, and maybe there's a place to put the feet up, so put the legs up, give them a little elevation. And if not, just find a way to be comfortable right where you are. Nothing special needed. Close your eyes. You can wiggle and move if anything needs to be wiggled or moved. Taking a slow, deep breath in and a long breath out. Bringing awareness to your feet and toes, inviting your feet and toes to relax. Bringing awareness to your lower legs and your ankles. Letting lower legs and ankles relax. Letting feet and toes relax. And after I mention each body part, you might take a deeper breath, as though to honor that body part with a deeper breath. Notice your upper legs and your knees. And softening your upper legs, your knees, your lower legs, your ankles. Relaxing and letting go of your feet and toes. Notice your hips and pelvis and belly. Take a deep breath in. Long breath out. Relaxing hips, pelvis, and belly. And letting go of upper legs, knees. Letting go of lower legs and ankles. letting go of feet and toes. Noticing that area of the collarbones, the shoulders. Notice the muscles of your back and your spine. Letting the whole torso relax. Letting go of the upper legs, the knees, the lower legs, the ankles. Relaxing through the feet and toes. Rest the arms, the upper arms, the elbows. Let go of your lower arms, your wrists. Softening your hands and fingers into a gentle curled shape. Whole body inviting to relax. Letting go of the neck and throat. Letting go of the muscles of your face and jaw. And now relaxing again the whole body lets go. Whole body softens. Slow, easy breaths. Couple of moments of quiet. If you have extra time today and you can stay in this relaxed place, please do. It's a very short relaxation. If you are moving on to the next part of your day, please take a couple of slow, deeper breaths. Slower, deeper breaths in. And maybe a sigh out. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms again like you're just waking up and have a yawn. And coming to a seat of some sort, you could sit where you are, you could come back to your chair. We'll elongate our spines. Eyes can stay closed. Taking a moment to silently or not name 3 things that you are grateful for. So a little bit of gratitude practice here at the end of our yoga. Your hands could stay where they are, or you could take one palm to the center of your chest and the other palm on top of that hand so that the hands are both on the heart. Invitation to chant 3 ohms with me if you choose. Deep breath in. Long breath out. And breathing in for our 3 ohms. I'm grateful that you joined me for chair yoga today. Thank you so much. If you're able to donate, that's great. And your feedback is also welcome and appreciated. So if you have anything to say about these chair yoga videos, it's nice to know that you're out there. So please do send me a message. Have a great day.